converting this. This is related to the concepts. This is related to some models, some what we call samples of how to modify this into journal article. There are some things that we have to understand. Firstly, what are the differences between what we call as thesis, scriptsy, dissertation, and journal article? First thing that we can see is that we can identify from this what we call text is related to the length of the text. For the thesis or dissertation, much longer. It looks much longer. Can be 100, 200, 3, 4, 5, until 600 pages. While the article is not very long, neither too long nor too short. It takes around 10 to 15 pages because it is very short, very simple, but clear. Let us start from the differences between scriptsy and article. I'm writing this in Bahasa Indonesia because I know some of the students, some of the participants are not from English department. Then that's okay, as long as you can understand what my presentation. Right, what are the differences between article and journal? Firstly is scriptsy. Scriptsy is consisting of some chapters, chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3, chapter 4, chapter 5, until chapter 6. And it is written down there, chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3, chapter 4, and so on. And it is commonly unpublished. It is not, it is only putting in some library, right? Some library, and it is not read. But for journal, it is not using chapter. Tidak menggunakan istilah bab. It is only writing in terms of head of the title. And the second is published. Journal is commonly published. If we have written journal and it is not published, mean that it is meaningless. So we have to publish it online or offline. But today is not offline anymore. It is online. The second is every chapter in scriptsy is not more than 60 pages, right? So it takes very long what I have explained. And journal is very short, not more than 20 pages. This is commonly not more than 20 pages, very short. And then number 4, scriptsy is not published periodically, but journal is published periodically. Commonly, scriptsy is written by only one. We cannot find that 2 or 3 authors for scriptsy or thesis or dissertation. It's commonly is single one. But journal can be more, can be 2, 3, 4, even 5, right? And the next, can you scrolling down my my slide, please? Right, there's some component of dissertation, scriptsy, thesis, dissertation, or LPT-SD. Okay. Can you stop there, please? Okay, right. Thank you. Right. What I make it short, LPSTD mean scriptsy, right? Thesis and dissertation. So chapter 1, commonly we find that in scriptsy, introduction, and then formulation of the problem, research objective, and research significance, right? But it is not found in journal articles. Scrolling down, can you scrolling down, please? Scrolling, can you scrolling down? And the second, I would like to explain first what is scriptsy look like. Right, chapter one. Can you make it chapter one? Bab two kajian pustaka. Can you say? Can you make? All right. Kajian pustaka. All right. Uh, it's moving everywhere. Can you move? Can you pause there? Okay, all right. Well, why is this moving everywhere? All right. Can you stay there? Can you stuck there? I can see moving everywhere. You are not frozen there. All right. Okay. All right. Let me explain. Let me explain. What's the component of research report? What we call it scriptsy, thesis, dissertation. What we call LPSTD. Right. First chapter that we find introduction. Probably everyone here is knowing this. Latar belakang, research background, research formulation, research objective, and significance of the research, right? The next, can you scroll down? All right, thank you. Second chapter, bab 2 kajian pustaka. That's commonly, this is very similar things, typical characteristic among the skripsi ya. Bab 2 kajian pustaka. We know kajian pustaka, kerangka pemikiran, and hypothesis. This is commonly found in every thesis or skripsi. The third is chapter 3 is metode, method, bahan, and metode. This is the typical appearance that we find in skripsi. Okay, next. The next slide, please. Okay. The last is chapter 4, bab 4, find and discussion, finding and discussion. Commonly is simpulan, and saran. That's okay. All right, next. Okay, scrolling. Okay, now we come to our business today is how to convert, how to modify from the thesis, the scriptsy that we have already discussed from the beginning of our conversation is firstly that we have to put in our mind, that we have to bear in our mind is first is related to component of journal component. This is sometimes becoming what we call a misconception among the writers. So what I call is IMRAD, yeah, introduction, material, method, result. This is the only four component of journals. When we are looking at the thesis, dissertation, we cannot find such a very short term that we find in journal. But in journal, we have only four: introduction, material and method, result, discussion, plus references. So the all four components might be gisted from the long thesis that we have written. Right, let me explain introduction, what we have to put in introduction, what are the components of introduction that we modify from thesis into journal. Scrolling down. Right, this is the key. This is a very important key that we have to put, that we have to be in our mind. When we combine chapter 2, 1, 2, and 3 in our thesis or scriptsy or dissertation, whatever. So in journal, we call it pendahuluan, introduction, right? So we gist them, we blend them, we combine them, we mix them from chapter 1 to 3 into 3 chapters together. We call it introduction in a journal, right? So the rest, the rest can be summarized. So the rest, what I mean, the rest here is chapter 4, chapter 5 can be the rest, can be summarized, can be summed up into one. But what we think the 1 to 3 chapters in our thesis can be put into one together, become what we call it introduction. Can you scrolling down? Scrolling down, please. Okay, right. This is the example of journal format, right? Okay. Introduction that we have discussed already is latar belakang, kajian literatur, fokus penelitian, metodologi. And then the three, chapters we can put into one, become pendahuluan. That's what we have to write in our journal article later on. And then chapter 1, 2, 3 become introduction. And then hasil pembahasan simulsawan daftar pustaka can be
Hello? Excuse me, sir. I think it's a kind of signal dropping. Can you listen? Can you listen me, Mister? Mr. Riswanto? Hello? Mr. Riswanto? Okay. Mr. Riswanto? Are we connected? Hello, Mr. Riswanto? Are you sure? Okay, for all of the participants, we are trying to connect again to Mr. Riswanto, Ph.D., our honorable speaker. So we actually very apologize for the signal dropping, but we are trying to connect again. So please wait until Mr. Riswanto are with us again here.
Okay.
Pay attention, please. For all of the participants, you are requested to switch off the audio again while we are in the process of connecting to our speaker. Hello, Mr. Ridwan. Assalamualaikum, Mr. Riswanto.
okay.
Okay.
Where are you just now? Where are you?
I'm sorry, maybe
going...
it's a signal.
No, are you going out or hanging on?
No. Actually, we are hanging on here.
No. I'm just kidding.
Okay.
I'm just kidding.
All the participants. Now we have our speaker again, Mr. Riswanto, as speaker here with us. Alhamdulillah. Okay.
Alhamdulillah.
Please continue, Mr. Riswanto. Time is yours.
I'm still alive. I'm here again. Okay, I'm still alive. No, I cannot see your face. Okay, let me continue. The next slide. Right, that was done in. Firstly, we need to the component of scriptsy, and then we try to change. Chapter 1, 2, 3, we make it into one, what we call is pendahuluan or introduction, right? What I just explained. And chapter 4, 5, chapters in scriptsy or thesis or whatever, the dissertation, we put it into together as what we call discussion, finding, discussion, and references. The next is, this is ethical issues actually. This is related to ethical issues. What we have to write, in writing the journal. Let me start from abstract first. Can we move? Can you move? Actually I can, okay, abstract. Okay. Okay, right. This is the abstract. So in article, journal article, we start from the name, right? The name of the authors, and then the affiliate can be email address, right? And then the institution where we come from. And the next is abstract. What we have to do with abstract. This is very important. The first, the first side that looking at the authors is from abstract. When we submit our journal, commonly what we can, sell first, or we can show first is abstract. So the reviewer, we're looking at this, whether our abstract is quite good or not, quite interesting or not, quite meaningful or not. So in abstract, this is what we call abstract, is the short term, the short summary of our thesis, or scriptsy. First is abstract should be consistent. Yeah, abstract should be consistent. Consistent here is we not change the term, like the jargon, the term, the word that we use in abstract. It should be, done in the same way when we write in the next chapters, in the next explanation. And then the second is abstract should be self-explanatory, mean it can explain by itself. So the readers, the reviewers are not difficult in understanding what we are writing. It is totally explained. It is well explained, well clear in that short part. And the next, number 3, is not, no, we do not insert, like, graph, table, or something like references in our paragraph. It is very short. It is, this is not unstated here. Graph, table, and then references. The last, not more than 150 to 200 words, right? It should be 100, less than 200 words. The next slide. This one, the title of the articles. Let me explain this very fast. The title of the article should be interesting, right? And then it should be short. It, reflects the content of the article. And then it's not more than 50 words. It's not more than 15 words. And understandable, right? Right, next. Component of abstract. Later on, we explain with some question and answer. Component of abstract. Let me explain it very fast due to the time limit. Can you scrolling up? What are the things that no, I cannot find my. All right.
Okay. Thank you so much for Mr. Riswanto. Yes, for very detailed explanation and presentation about our theme today, how to write thesis into journal. Thank you so much. Next, we come to questions and answer section.
Right.
We have several questions here.
Are you going to write in chat room? Sorry?
Yes, we are going
The
to
question?
check in the chat room. The question is
Chat
in
room.
chat room. So we are going to choose 2 questions only because of the limited time. The first question, we are still searching the first question. Okay, for all of the participants, you may type your question in the chat room. You may type it, and I'm going to read and deliver your question to the speaker. Okay. In relation to our theme today, how to write thesis into journal. Okay, we are waiting for the questions. Everybody, as our participant who are watching us now, okay, we have 2 questions. The first one is, how do you differentiate between frameworks, hypotheses, and literature reviews in thesis writing? It is the first question. The second question is, are there any tricks and tips in keeping a journal so that it is not boring for writers?
Am I going to answer the questions?
Yeah. We may answer the first question first.
Okay, right. I have a question, which is, how do you differentiate between frameworks, hypotheses, and literature reviews in thesis writings? No, the concept done in the process of writing our thesis or scripts is commonly putting in terms of tables, graph, or charts, right? And hypothesis that we find is commonly we find in quantitative research hypothesis in chapter 2 sometime. Hypothesis, it is clearly written, it is visible there, what we call hypothesis. Hypothesis can be hypothesis null, hypothesis alternative, and whatever the name are, but it is commonly written there, hypothesis. Literature review is related to the theories, related to the what we call it, the references that is closely related to our topic in our thesis or description. But the problem is not there actually. The problem is how to modify these old terms into our thesis. Bagaimana meramu ya? How to blend them, how to mix them together into our articles. That's the most important thing. We are not discussing a lot about the thesis component now. What we are discussing, what we focus on is how to move, how to modify from thesis into journal article. I think it's not easy. It's not difficult to identify which is framework, hypothesis, literature, review in thesis writing. I think it's clear. And then, are there any tricks in keeping a journal so that's not boring for writers? All right. Are there any tricks? The tricks is, the trick is we are following the style of any publication that's given. That's why when we are writing the thesis, when we are writing the journal, we have to look at the templates first. What does the the publication, the editors need to be existed in our writing? But the thing is, most important thing is the theme that we are talking about is not outdated, right? Outdated. It is, the topic is up to date, right? It's not out of date. If it is already, done many things, many times by the same and similar writing, that it makes us, makes not only the writers, not only the reviewers, but also we are feeling bored of in reading this. So the first that we have to understand is abstract will show the editors whether our writing is quite interesting or uninteresting. We have to practice this. It is not a piece of cake actually. We need to practice this. This seminar is only for such discussing at glance. It need more practice for writing this. And the next is salam.
Do we
There's a
still have?
question. This is uh,
Thank you for the answer for our speaker, Mr. Riswanto. It's very clear answer. For Andi Anugrah Surya, IAIN Manado. And actually, we still have one more question. Maybe it can be the last question. It is from Laugra Isma Putri.
Laugra and Maputri, everyone. The question is, some sources say that abstract was written at the beginning. What is the location of the writing remain at the beginning? Some sources say that abstract was written at the beginning. Yes, of course. Not every sources is, abstract is written in the beginning. I think I never find that abstract is written at the end, right? It is commonly come up on the beginning of the writing, right? Okay. What kind of sources are you reading? Then you find that abstract is remain at the end of the writing, right? I think every writing or paperwork, so apps, what we call journal, is written in the beginning. And the last questions from Hazmiatul. How to create our idea sources into paragraph to make relevant between all of paragraph, because I was stuck in difficult to write my idea. How to create our idea sources into paragraph to make this is about paragraph writing. This is on the beginning discussion with you. When you are writing, you cannot write unless you read. Right? That's the key. You cannot write unless you read. That's why you have to read a lot before writing. You get you get stuck on your idea if you are not reading. Reading will inspire your idea to start writing. So read a lot. Do not stop reading, because reading will will energizing your idea. This cannot come up alone without reading. Reading here is not only read from the book, but also reading in terms of general view, right? Reading from a real fact, environment, surrounding us can be called as reading. Not only reading a text, a print, but reading in terms of our behaviors, reading of things that we are looking for, that we are looking at some friends, neighbors, teachers, and so on.
All right, thank you very much for a very clear answer and explanation for Mr. Riswanto. I think it will be the last question. Yeah, so my sincere apologies to all participants because there are many questions, but I'm very sorry because of the time. We cannot actually respond all of the questions.
Okay.
All
Yeah,
right.
thank you.
So,
Thank you.
yes, Mr. This is the end of our section 2 of webinar today. We are very sorry for every mistake that we have already done. But actually, I would like to say thank you very much for all of the speakers today. And in the section 2, we have Mr. Riswanto, MPD, Ph.D. Thank you very much for very inspiring and also important concept of how to write the thesis into a journal. And also for all of the participants, thank you for the active participation. And I'm Nastiti Handani as a moderator. Say sorry if I had made mistake. I think this is the last. See you next time. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you for watching.
Okay, for additional information, tomorrow we'll have another webinar with another session and theme. So for all of the participants, please join in again with us. Thank you for your interest in joining the webinar.